Eventually, if you work enough on yourself, you will find that what's happening is that you are resting on your mind like you would float on water. I imagine a bird who's fallen into the water and the wings are wet and it's trying to stay afloat. It's been there long enough. Of course, it's just a bird brain that it forgot about flying. It just knows it wants to survive. That bird lying in that water, if the water is still and calm and pleasant, the bird is sunbathing. The bird is floating. The bird is even enjoying the experience of being in the water. If the water begins to become choppy, wavelets, disturbances, water gets over the head of the bird and into the mouth, and it's hard. And so the bird struggles to stay above the ripples. And of course, if it becomes tumultuous, stormy, it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult for that bird. It's been through that numerous times, and it's almost drowned completely. It's even gone down a few times. So the bird's entire life is the state of the water. Do you understand that? That's what life is to that bird, is the state of the water. And so the bird, if it had its way, would keep the water calm, would have it be comfortable and have it be peaceful. So it tries, however it can, to find ways to do this. Now, of course, you and I know, and this is a part you're not going to like, that bird don't have a chance in the world to determine what the water's doing, does it? But it thinks it can. Why? Because it has to think that. Because it needs the water to be still. And it can't exist thinking it has no control over this. So somehow it even gets in, I know it sounds so silly, it gets into the spot where it found out once that it was chirping a little bit because the water was nice, right? And the water stayed nice, okay? And that when it wasn't paying attention and looking a little bit to the right, the water got choppy. And so it developed all these concepts and views and opinions and preferences in its head that if I look to the right, don't do that because the water will get choppy. And if I do this and chirp just right, and every once in a while it works, you understand that, okay? And you come to discuss things with this bird, you don't want to have a discussion with this bird because what this bird's got going on in their mind is like, wow, where did you get there? And the answer is very straightforward. I had to do something. I couldn't feel helpless. I couldn't feel like there was nothing I could do. I ain't drowning anymore. I don't want to go under. My God, when I do things wrong, the whole tumultuous ocean and water gets amazing and drowning. I better make sure I never do that again because I'll get completely freaked out. And when I do things right, when I think right and chirp right and look right and do everything right, the water gets calm and still, and I needed to do that, right? And I now am one neurotic bird. Do you understand that? All right? Because I can't always figure out why, if I chirped exactly the way I chirped last time, I must not have it right. There must have been something, past life or something, that has affected this. All right? There's it developed this whole thing about karma, about things it did before. It's really complicated. It did something before so that even if it chirps, right, it doesn't matter now because it was offset by these past things and all that kind of stuff. And then really this whole past life thing, somebody came along, another bird that was floating along told her about that. That's not even what you did this time. It could be what you did last time. So now you're going to figure that out. And it really is very difficult for this bird. This bird is having a very, very hard time. Especially, it's hard enough that when the water gets tumultuous, that the bird has to struggle to stay afloat. Now he feels guilty. Now the bird feels, what did I do wrong? Everything. Oh, it's just the most amazing thing. And the bird finally figures, I can't figure this out by myself. It's unbelievable. I know I'm causing this, but I can't figure it out, right? Maybe there's another force that can control this for me. I've heard rumors that there was a higher force, right? I'll pray to that. and ask that force to make it so that what I'm doing works and makes the water right. And this entire bird, every life, every moment, even the prayers to the higher force, are about controlling the water. Do you understand that? Every single thing that bird is doing is about the fact that I'm stuck. He doesn't even know he's stuck in the water because he doesn't know he can get out. Remember, I started right at the beginning telling you forgot that he ever flew. That's so long ago. Nope, I'm too busy with other things. I'm too busy thinking about how to make the water calm and do things right and all that, there's not one part of my mind that has any idea that there's something other than being in this water. I am this water. I am in this water. That is what my life is. I feel it. You can't tell me I'm not. Every time it moves, I float. This is me. You got it, this situation. I swear to you, that is exactly, with no exaggeration, how a human being rests on their mind. The mind is not who you are, ever. Just like that water is not who that bird is, ever. No matter what that water is doing, whether it's calm or whether it's tumultuous, it is no more that bird than any other. You understand that? The bird is independent and separate from that water. It is floating on it, but it is not part of it. It has nothing to do with it. Your consciousness, your awareness of being is floating on the riplets of the mind. In yoga, we call them vrittis. If you go deep enough and quiet enough, you'll see there are vrittis in the mind. When a thought gets created, it starts as a tiny vibration, and then it's like a wavelet. It comes up, but those thoughts, those wavelets talk to you. You shouldn't have done that. Maybe if I... But you literally, a meditator, somebody who's gone deep enough, every single thought has a seed, a start, a peak, and a finish. And you're right there, just like you would see the wavelets on a lake. Do you see them, right? They have start, finish, and so on. They come up, they go down, right? That is what your thoughts do. They are in a calm mind. The mind is calm. The mind is calm. The water is calm. If there are no forces, none, influencing the water, it's calm. If there are no leaves falling in, if there's no wind blowing over it, if there's no rain falling into it, do you understand that? The natural state of the water is calm, unless there are forces that are causing it to be otherwise. Fair enough? Your mind is exactly the same. Exactly the same. It is calm. It's just calm. It's what Buddhists mean void, the empty mind. Doesn't mean it's stupid. The water's not stupid because it's calm. It's not water. All the potentials are there for it to create waves. It's just there are no forces causing that to happen. The natural state of your mind is complete peace, absolute, total calm. Not thinking nice things. It's way beyond positive thought. Positive thought is just a nice wave. All right? Negative thought is a tumultuous wave. It's empty. That's the Buddhists. That's what Zen talks of. Empty mind, the empty bell, the void. It means that doesn't mean there's nothing there. It means there's nothing in there. So the natural state of the mind is the calm water. It's just absolutely still. I don't want to get off subject, but Ramakrishna, the great master, once said, "The purified mind is no different than the self." It's very, very deep. When the mind is calm, it's like empty set. There's nothing there but the consciousness aware of itself. If you look into the absolute still water, you will see your reflection. It doesn't happen when there's ripples. It's all distorted. So they use that example. When you are in deep meditation, when you're in deep meditation, you don't know you are, not till you come back. Then you knew you're in deep meditation. But if you're in deep meditation, there is no mind. It's not creating thoughts. You're not sitting there thinking, oh, I'm in deep meditation. Then you're not in deep meditation. There's only the sense of being. Now I'm thinking, I'm being. No, you're just being. And the mind is not disturbing or pulling you away from that. And that's what's meant. The purified mind is no different than the self. It's not like the self is watching a pure mind, okay? There's nothing pulling your consciousness away from your awareness of being. Do you understand that? You're just aware of being even though you're resting through the mind. It's empty mind. So it's beautiful that the Zen stuff of empty mind and empty bell and void is no different than any of the other traditions. They just use different words, okay? The key is you are you. You are the bird, the self, the consciousness, the awareness of being, and you are resting on mind. The problem is your mind is never still, never still. If you go maybe once in a blue moon into a deep meditation, you understand what still mind is. Otherwise, I am telling you, if you will pay attention, your mind is always creating riplets. Always creating riplets. That's unbelievable. All right? Like I said, not until you've experienced absolute still mind can you experience the fact that the mind is not still, because you're so used to it. You're just like that bird. You're resting on it. The mind is always saying, well, I'm okay. There's nothing bothering me now. That's mine. Those are riplets, right? God, I like this situation. I feel so good. This is the happiest time I've ever been in my life. That's mind. Do you understand that? Don't you dare think of mind as the negative, right? Mind are these thoughts, these wavelets that are coming out, all right, of this lake. This lake, I like to see your psyche, your inner state. What I mean by psyche is the mind and the emotions, that inner state. I like you to see it as water. It's a lake. It's a lake. Is it ever still? Give me a break. All right? You have to work to make it still. You have to go meditate and do yoga and do mantras and do all kinds of things, right? Even the techniques like mantra. Is mantra a still mind? No. Mantra is not a still mind. What is mantra? A mind whose waves are steady. It's always saying the same thing. And because it's always saying the same thing, they're of the same temperament, the same thing. It's easier to float on. Do you understand that? If your mind is sitting underneath saying God, 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 or Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, that's all it's doing. That's a lot nicer place to rest than, oh my God, why did I say that? Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. This is ridiculous. Should I call her? No, don't call her. No. Is that just my mind, or does your mind do that too? I thought maybe it did. All right. All right. So your mind is always creating these riplets. God, let's just go slow on this. Do you see that? I'm going to tell you right now, it does not have to be that way. It was not meant to be that way. It should not be that way. It is very, very difficult to live life when it is like that. Just like the bird has a very hard time when there's all this noise going on and the ripples and the waves, not to mention the tough times. We understand how tough the tough times are. Somebody dies, your husband leaves you, sick, kid gets sick, all kinds of stuff goes on, doesn't it? And all of a sudden there's this tremendous turmoil. Can it get tumultuous? Answer me. Has it ever gotten tumultuous in there? I mean, really tumultuous in there. Can you understand that it could get so tumultuous that in 1929, senior executives were throwing themselves off the 20th floor of Wall Street buildings? I'm not saying would you do it, please don't. But do you understand that that's where suicide comes from? It gets tough in there. Let's talk about that. It gets hurricane level. It gets tsunami level. It gets unbelievable and unbearable, right or wrong. That is just that bird floating on top of the exact same mind. You understand that? But the mind has become so tumultuous that it's being pulled under, it's drowning, and that's what it feels like, doesn't it? I'm drowning, I'm dying, it's killing me, all right? So I'm telling you that you, every one of you, and everyone else are capable of dealing with this, of calming the mind. You are capable of it becoming so steady that the sun dries the wings and you find out you can fly. And you never, ever, ever have that problem ever again. You don't even remember when you used to be in the water and it used to do all that. That's liberation. That's what's meant by Jivan Mukta, the liberated soul.